Baby oil.
Do they sell it at Costco?
Ford Bronco.
Oh, no.
It's a slow ride.
Diddy Do It. And other celebrity legal issues.
Here we go.
Welcome to Attorneys Are Human 2, Season 3, Episode 4. Diddy Do It? And other celebrity legal issues. I'm Steve Wallace.
And I'm Selena Music.
And we have a true pleasure today. We have our celebrity legal commentator, Cy Lawson.
Hi, Cy.
What's going on, Selena? What's up, Steve? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I think we have a lot of things to cover today. And let's start with the most recent thing that's on everybody's mind. The United Healthcare CEO killer. Selena, you had a nice comment about him earlier.
He was hot. He's hot. He's going to be the hottest prisoner. I don't know. He better clench those butt cheeks. I don't know.
Well, let's just on that note, you know, it's a very interesting political statement that he's saying. We're allegedly this is politically motivated based on the fact that the large healthcare body. And when I heard this, I said he must have been denied health care or been unhappy with some type of health care. And it goes to show he suffered from back surgery. And anybody that knows all of the crazy stuff that he was writing about and being withdrawn, it's mental health. And most likely he was probably dependent on opioids.
Probably.
What do you think, Cy?
All of the things you stated, I believe to be true, or at least being reported. Also, his family's from Maryland. I think he comes from like a pretty wealthy family, so I thought it was kind of ironic that the kid who has a little bit of money is complaining about insurance when he probably didn't even rely on insurance to that extent. I mean, he could have, but all I'm saying is he comes from a family with money.
But we don't know if the family was financially supporting him maybe at that point.
That's true.
That's the other thing. But I think the United States, or they say, has like the worst insurance possible. Not that that's an excuse,
correct,
to go kill someone, but
you know what doesn't make any sense to me is how somebody on a bike can go from New York City to Pennsylvania and nobody catches him. I mean that.
Well, he had his face covered, and a lot of people in New York are riding bikes, so it's like. And they all kind of are dressed. But
what he's saying is not so much how did he disappear in New York. He's saying the trek, if you will.
That's a long haul.
Well, he took a bus. No,
I don't know how he got there.
Yeah, they said he rode the bike to Starbucks, got himself some coffee because after killing someone, you probably need some coffee.
And it was early.
Yeah,
so.
And then
got to get some juice.
Rode the bike. He got rid of the bike and then took the bus.
That goes to another commentary. So obviously growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. So when it's funny, and I think you guys will find this funny. So my second year of law school, I got job interviews to some humongous firms like White and Case, Sherman and Sterling. And I'm like, Dad, how am I going to get there? He's like, you're taking the Greyhound bus, son. So I went on the Greyhound bus with my suit. And here's one thing I will tell you, because I've learned over the years. If you want to commit a crime, go on the Greyhound bus because nobody in their right mind is going to see you. The kids and I took a train when we were up in Syracuse, from Syracuse to New York City. Unfortunately, the train station shares the bus depot with them. And my kid learned a lot about life spending some time at the Greyhound bus. So needless to say, I tell anybody that wants to commit a crime, go on a Greyhound bus.
Mm-hmm. That's, in addition to that, there's a couple other things that are weird. Even the charges are weird. I don't know if...
What are the charges?
Like possession.
Well, he had a 3D hand-printed silencer gun.
Correct.
And then they found him with another 3D printed, which,
What? I don't understand that. So you can go and you can print a gun out on a computer?
Yeah, some guy put the...
Untraceable.
The specs?
Yeah, he put the specs on the internet several years ago. They tried to remove it from the net, but it being the nature of the internet, many people saved it.
It's like the anarchist cookbook where you can learn to create a bomb.
Correct.
Yeah. And once it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no taking
So
it
they
back.
put that out there. So they're saying this, and all right, he did this. You would think in my brain, I'm thinking like John Q or something, right? Denzel in the hospital.
Right, that's exactly, yeah.
He was holding up the hospital just so he could get coverage for his kid, right?
Right.
That would make sense.
I would think if you're going to do this, if you're going to be like a man of the people and you're going to take down the big bad CEO, you would want to stand there and say, ha, look what I did. This for the people, right? Regardless of how.
Right. He ran off on a bus, grabbed a Starbucks, and
he disappeared.
Biked to rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah. He used a silencer. He had his face covered, and he calmly got away. So it seemed as if, at least initially, he did not want to be apprehended.
But he had enough time to leave the country, and he didn't.
I think they should have just left him in Amish country and had him live there the rest of his life. That would have been worse than prison.
It's weird. And the police didn't even catch him. It was one of the workers in McDonald's, right?
I mean,
or somebody in McDonald's. It's either one of the workers.
Big Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. They recognized the eyebrows. So I know it was a woman because a woman is the only one who's going to notice your eyebrows.
That's another thing.
Lord have mercy.
The initial picture had somebody with normal spacing between their eyebrows.
Did he have a unibrow?
He does.
So how do you find a unibrow attractive, Selena? That's even more disturbing.
almost
First of all,
a unibrow.
if you pull up close, you don't want, listen, I don't want to date a guy
with wax brows?
that's prettier than me.
Got it. Okay.
You know, if you're waxing your eyebrows and like tweaking and stuff, you're just not for me.
Got it.
I need a little rough edges,
I understand.
You know?
I understand. That makes sense.
Just saying.
So let Judge Janine, what's your prediction on jail time?
Which party are we speaking about?
We're talking about the United Healthcare killer.
Mario's brother, Luigi.
He's never getting out.
It'll be like a Menendez situation. He'll be in there for like 30-something years before they figure out what to do with him.
You know what I kept thinking? They said he had spinal surgery, but then they show like a picture of him in Hawaii with no shirt on. And I was like...
That makes no sense.
Yeah. I was like, what spinal surgery? He looks fine to me. And I mean that.
I think what'll be interesting to me is the I want to know, I mean, obviously there's motive, but the planning behind this. And how long was he watching him for? Like, how long was this premeditated? I mean, I want to know details.
Well, I guess he's not being charged with that, right, Cy Lawson?
I'm checking it right now because I want to make sure I get it right. Because there's so many stories. Like, for instance, one from the Post from yesterday. His grandmother left the family $30 million in a will. So, I mean, how much access...
Maybe he's getting cut out of the will and he's really mad, so he's got to kill a United Healthcare CEO. Yeah. And you know what? I've had for various health plans. United Healthcare is one of the better ones. If I was going to kill somebody, I'd kill Florida Blue, but that's just a story for a different day.
No, we're not killing
Blue.
anyone.
Yeah.
We're not doing any of that. We're going to take our crappy insurance and we're going to do the best we can without any violence.
Thank you, Cy Lawson.
I
I appreciate that. So moving on, let's talk about really what our favorite topic is. We haven't stopped talking about it, and it's the namesake of the episode.
Diddy
Do It?
Maybe. Well, he definitely did it.
He did it multiple times, and we're seeing it covered on camera and all kinds of stuff.
Again, another weird legal case. They brought a RICO,
right?
Yes.
Right.
They brought RICO, and the interesting thing is he also got charged with trafficking, prostitution, and how he did it. If he would have just stayed in one state, he wouldn't have been charged with RICO. He wouldn't have been charged with transporting prostitutes over state lines. So anybody that's a criminal that's listening to our podcast, stay within your state.
Think about how many athletes are now traffickers. Finding all these girls on the gram.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, shorty, you in Cali, I'm in New Orleans.
Come on over.
That's a traffic.
I'm in Texas. You're in Florida. Hey, we fly to Philly.
Yeah. What is that?
You're going to come with us.
What does the prison time look like, Steve?
It's life. It's multiple life and life and life and life because every count. He must have been charged with like over 100 counts.
So this is what I'm confused about because I think 3 men recently just said also that they were assaulted. Mm-hmm. So I mean, is he like assaulting everyone in like the state of New York? I mean, that's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. Like that's a lot of stamina.
And in addition to other things, right? I've never seen them charge one person with the RICO, though. Most times when I see a RICO charge, I think of like the mob, if you will.
Well, that's the catch-all. Any type of criminal scheme, Giuliani was the first one to prosecute under that, where it's, I have this organization, I can't get, and we know they're criminals, I can't get anything to stick, so let's get the planning aspect of the crime. Mm-hmm. It's never been applied to this type of scenario before. So actually coming from a legal standpoint, it's a very interesting case.
And that's what I said. Normally, like I say, anytime it's usually a group. Let's look at YSL, which is Young Thug. He recently beat his case, or somewhat. He got put on probation. Federal RICO charges, his whole YSL crew, so many of them arrested and charged. A lot of them took pleas. Some are going to be sentenced, whatever. But again, it was against a whole crew.
The problem with Diddy is, and I'm going to tell you, as a woman, seeing that video of him beating Cassie,
that was bad,
was so heart-wrenching and painful to watch, because she just looked like an abused, just helpless. And I think for every woman that saw that, they kind of put themselves in that situation, and he's been found guilty by the court of public opinion.
Yes. And that's the court which led to his demise, for sure.
Yeah.
It seemed behind the scenes there were many extortion efforts going on to get money out of Puff. I still call him Puff, but it seems as if there were many attempts to get money, and he probably denied the vast majority.
I think other people call him Puff too, but
but it seems as if Cassie is the one who had all of the ammunition, and her attorneys are like, okay, you're going to play hardball. They extended the statute in New York for these types of crimes. And then what was that? The day before last year, November 29th, when the extension was to end, that's when the attorney filed his civil case against Diddy. And you see the very next day he settles for $30 million.
I mean, simply put, all of these criminal accusations generally come out of some type of failed relationship. I mean, oftentimes, like the mafia or criminals throughout history, if there's a divorce or some type of domestic dispute, domestic violence, all the dirty laundry is already aired.
Yep.
So I will say this. I remember I loved Cassie when she first came out. Mm-hmm. And that
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
but.
that You and Me video was like fire. Yeah.
I've been waiting.
But
this is what I used to listen to in the office all the time when I was working with these two.
Yeah. I don't think that he should have ever, she was too young. And I think that also presents, she was an adult in the eyes of the law when they started dating, allegedly. But she was still too young to be with
Here's my thing, though. She was originally with this other entertainer, Ryan Leslie. You may have heard of him. He's producer. He's really talented.
I don't leave my house, so I don't hear anybody.
But if you heard his song, Selena, you would know Ryan Leslie, right? Mm-hmm. So she was with him. He was hot at the time. Everybody wanted his input into their projects, etc. He was with Cassie first. Diddy took her from him. She went with Diddy. He just kept, hey, you're going to come with me. You see I got the bag. You see I got the money. And she played poor Ryan and with Puff and was with him for all those years. So in some ways, be careful what you choose, right? You were in one relationship. You went for the brighter star.
Yeah.
And what came with it. So
Interesting.
You had the benefits and you had the negatives. That came along with.
But I don't think she expected the violence.
The reports are there about her watching him abuse Kim Porter and Cassie being present and watch. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff written online. So that's why I'm kind of middle of the road with everything. Because sometimes you sign up for these things. I'm not saying anyone deserves it.
Absolutely not.
But if you run into a burning house,
there's fire.
You should expect to get some burns.
Let me ask you this, though. This is something where I think that once this dropped, a lot of other celebrities and athletes got very nervous. How, because you're our celebrity legal commentator, how vast do you think this investigation is going to be? And who other people, like I know we were talking earlier before the episode, Jay-Z is somehow brought into all of this, or
Lord, they're trying to bring
I don't
Jay
know,
into this.
but tell me more. I want to hear.
Tony Busby, this attorney out of Texas, we'll get into him later. Look up Deshaun Watson and Tony Busby for those who want a little bit of backstory. Deshaun Watson is a football player who currently plays for Cleveland. He played for the Houston Texans 2 years ago. After he announced he was leaving Houston on his free agency, all of these women popped up alleging abuse. It was just weird. Tony Busby ended up representing like 30 of the quote-unquote victims.
That's an expensive massage.
Correct. Many of those cases were dropped. Some of the girls even came out and just said, hey, this guy just wants me to name Deshaun. Anyway, moving forward to Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Busby filed a civil lawsuit alleging that Puff and one unnamed male celebrity and one unnamed female celebrity, the two males abused her and the female celebrity stood by and watched, whatever. So after a couple of days of this being out there, the attorney amended the complaint to say it was Sean Carter, a.k.a. Jay-Z,
oh, wow.
who abused her at 13 with Puff Daddy after the VMAs.
Oh, my Lord.
People went and started digging.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled up all the pictures and everything from that night. Just so happens Puff Daddy and or Diddy and J-Lo were arguing that night in the club, so they end up leaving. Jay was at some other club.
Okay.
So
probably the 40/40 Club at that time.
No, it was
Kit Kat.
No, not Kit Kat. Club. Oh God, I can't think. Lotus, maybe.
Maybe
Club Lotus. So with that being said, there's all these pictures of them being out at different events. What the girl, and now she would be 37, I think.
Okay.
What she alleges, it doesn't add up when you look at the events of that night. When you see, it just doesn't add up. Her story is that she was 13 years old trying to sneak into the VMAs. She was walking outside the VMAs, and I think it was Diddy's limo driver.
So what's your ruling on this, Cy Lawson?
Is that the attorney wants money.
Got it.
Let me tell you.
I'm telling you, you just
not every attorney is human too. They're out for the money, is what you're telling us.
Some. There's probably maybe 0.5% of attorneys who are greedy.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
The vast majority are not like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right?
All right.
So,
I like that.
But a 13-year-old trying to sneak into the VMA, where were your parents?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
My parents, man, I couldn't even go to the bodega.
Who you telling?
Right.
So I'm like,
at 13?
How are you sneaking into the VMAs at 13?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
They need to fire your babysitter.
Exactly.
Or something. And she's still anonymous. And behind the scenes, Jay-Z filed a lawsuit under a pseudonym, John Doe, several weeks ago, saying that, hey, there's an attorney trying to extort me. My lawyer received demand letters and
interesting.
Was contacted by this attorney's office alleging that
that is not a marketing tool that we use at Wallace Law. Just so the record is clear on that.
I think Jay-Z needs to leave the country.
I don't. I think he needs to stay and actually fight, because we see that one, at least legally, just make sure that you untie yourself from any of the mess that is going on with,
I agree with that.
Diddy, right? We've heard things about Diddy from the 90s. Wendy Williams was telling us about weird stuff in the 90s with Puff Daddy.
Nobody wanted to listen
They
to
didn't want to hear that. He was too big at that time.
Let me expound on this. So this is something that is a major legal conspiracy theory that's never been solved. The death of Notorious B.I.G.
Correct.
And the death of Tupac. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
It seems to be many moving parts there. It seems
one is that Diddy did it.
That's one that's out there.
That's what I want.
As far as Big goes, as far as Tupac goes, I'm a little because that night he did have the incident where they jumped the dude, where they beat the guy up in front of the casino in Vegas, right?
Uh-huh.
They jumped that dude pretty good. They beat him up, and that was some real gang-related
stuff.
Yeah.
I think it could have been, and this
so
is
that
my
could have
own
been retaliation for the street stuff.
My own conspiracy is that there was someone orchestrating all of this in the back, even with the gangs. Someone was saying, listen, I need this person out. I need this person out. I think the only one who had anything to really gain from both of these deaths was Diddy.
That's why I think he killed Kim Porter.
That's what the rumor is.
That's the rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has Snoop survived all these years, though?
Because Snoop was smart and got away.
And Snoop was always
Snoop
kind of,
left.
he's always kind of solo. Snoop is just Snoop. He's
No, but him and his crew, they left. Remember, he went to get with Master P in the late 90s, and he signed to No Limit. So he removed himself from that whole death row bad boy situation, especially after Pac left. Same with Mace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mace, after everything, Mace was the hottest rapper out, writing all this stuff for Bad Boy. He's at the peak, and then what does he do? I'm going to Atlanta and go join the church. Like, I don't want
Yeah, but something happened there because he said he was threatened, and that's what made him leave the music industry. But then he's never said, who's threatened you?
You know what it is? You have...
And you had
have
so
this
much fear to let go of so much money and walk away.
Well, your life is more important than
Correct.
a couple
Especially
dollars.
when you're from the street and you see what time it is and you're like, it's not worth it. To people who are not from that, they wouldn't be able to see it. So there's such a commingling in the industry of music professionals.
I learned that in the mean streets of Syracuse. If something's coming your way, you just got to get out. You got to go to Atlanta and join the church. You know what I'm saying?
But there's such a commingling of gangsters, street guys, if you will, or criminals, and artists within the industry, right? When you get put on, right, you have your whole crew with you. You might be the artist, but you have a bunch of goons behind you, if you will, right? They're committing acts and doing things. So there was an argument in Atlanta in the mid-'90s. All these guys, when they go to different cities, they hire street guys. They hire gang members to be their security. They don't always go to off-duty cops for their security. So these guys are hiring Bloods and Crips, and they're all in the same places, same spaces. You're mixing pride, ego, drugs, alcohol, women.
Gangs.
It's a perfect
It's a recipe
cocktail for
disaster.
Correct.
Disaster.
So one of Diddy's Crip bodyguards got into a fight with one of Suge Knight's Blood bodyguards, ended up killing him.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
This was before Pac or Big was dead. So the tension between the camps had already started before any shots to the other two. And again, this is all stuff we talked about in the barbershop that we heard in New York,
Yeah.
you know, like...
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's a lot of moving parts, and if to the uninitiated, you don't think to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Talking about West Coast, I want to transition a little bit to my favorite celebrity legal conspiracy or issue or trial, and that's OJ. And
Okay.
I have a unique perspective on OJ. So I'm sitting home, and it's 1994, and it's
God,
really,
don't remind
really
me.
good. And my team, my favorite basketball team, is in the NBA Finals. And I'm sitting there with my buddy, and we got our Diet Cokes
all
ready.
watching.
We're eating
Like,
nachos.
Knicks.
Not
Right,
Diet Coke.
right. Yes. And
We're gonna win.
and we're all excited. And they're like, what the F? What is this breaking news?
Oh God! They
And
did the
they're-
picture-in-picture.
Right. Yeah. And I couldn't. It was nothing. Where's my game? My basketball
Saw
game
him
was
driving.
interrupted by a slow-moving Ford Bronco,
And they
White.
were
with Al Cowlings or whatever the heck his name, driving. I'm like, what's going on? And then the Knicks were up, and miraculously they lost the game because of a white Ford Bronco.
And the thing is, they kept saying during that time, I think everybody of our age who was into basketball, I think we all remember, like that's seared into our memory because they kept saying high-speed chase. When we're watching the video, he would
just
drive like
driving.
30 miles an hour.
Not even
Yeah.
like 10 on the LA freeway.
Yeah.
And they had 78 police cars behind him. You would have thought
Wasn't he threatening to like kill himself or
yes,
something?
supposedly.
So interesting enough, this is when I was applying to law school. And my mom and dad think that every attorney is Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
And they would
Rest
not
in
accept
peace.
anything more, anything less. And, you know,
If it
honestly,
don't fit.
honestly,
You must have quit.
right. That really was a shining moment for attorneys.
Big time.
Yeah.
But however, everybody thinks an attorney's like that, or everybody thinks an attorney is the evil Marcia Clark. And I have to honestly say, I was rooting for OJ. I think a lot of people were. I remember I was at work.
Also, another legend was born from that incident. There's so many parts.
Oh,
Who was born?
That was the start of the family we now call the Kardashians.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
He was on that legal team.
That's right.
Yeah.
With,
That's right.
Which,
Robert Kardashian.
Yeah.
He was there with who's the other
Robert
one?
Shapiro.
Robert Shapiro.
Who actually
That's true.
created LegalZoom, which is cut into a lot of our revenue.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So
Thanks,
all
Robert
of the
Shapiro.
all of the things that have happened out of that OJ trial, but needless to say, it really did put attorneys in the limelight. I think that really was a situation where everybody was watching it, everybody was talking about it,
I was
just
watching.
like we were talking about Diddy Do It, and we'll see if he did. But that actually spurred court TV. And nothing of that, I don't think that trial was probably the most famous trial ever. And I remember I was at work and my mom called me and she whispered in, not guilty. And I remember I was like, jumped up and like, and my dad was so mad because my dad and I were always polar opposites. Like, how can you root for that killer? I'm like, he was on the Buffalo Bills.
I think people are just enamored with his celebrity persona. And they couldn't separate whether he did it or not. I mean, the reality is, whether he did or not, he got away with it.
And keep in mind, too, OJ, this is probably a little before our time.
Yeah.
He's like the best football player in the 70s.
Yeah.
I was a kid. Actually, I wasn't even born.
Me neither. That's what I'm saying.
So
I
when
was
Steve was
born
watching that
when I
Ford
was
Bronco,
watching-
I was a kid.
USC.
No, I wasn't alive then.
No, I know you weren't around for that, but his time in college at USC.
And he was the Hertz guy. He would always read all those commercials. And so, interestingly enough, that trial didn't get him. But when he went into a Las Vegas courtroom and he beat somebody up to get his Heisman Trophy back, that's what got OJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why they gave him so much time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like,
It was a
we
payback.
finally
Yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
There's a lot of
he
racial
went to-
undertones to that,
he
too.
went to get his stuff back.
Correct.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at him.
Neither am I.
That's my shit.
That
Oops,
I'm not.
sorry.
I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at him for that.
Correct. That's my sugar honey iced tea. I
Well,
should have it.
Yeah, and that's who
The
you
Heisman
are.
Trophy doesn't say Goldman family. It says OJ.
Orenthal James.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
That's awful. That to me is the American tragedy. That whole story, everything that
All
happened
of
for
it.
both
Correct.
families, for his children, and
For
I
the
mean
other-
now he's
right.
passed away.
You know what?
Yeah.
You
For
know-
the other guy too.
Yeah.
You know, and it
You know what
killed,
was a
it killed
tragedy?
Marsha Clark's and Chris Darden's
Yeah.
career.
You know, what was
And
a
even for the
tragedy was John
Kardashians.
Travolta was in that series and he was horrible.
Which one?
The OJ An American Tragedy.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I still love OJ and the Naked Gun.
Oh, I know the Naked
Movies.
Gun.
I do love those movies.
He was. Who was he? Thornburg.
Yeah, Thornburg.
And
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
gonna say, in his prime, I mean, there's another one who was very good looking. Just saying.
And he liked milk, as they say on the internet these days.
Or as we say in Espanol, leche.
Leche, correct.
All right, guys. Moving on, and I'm gonna backtrack because this person is already in prison. We're back to music here.
Okay.
R. Kelly
Damn.
probably suffering in a
man.
prison cell right now. That's a lot.
Didn't
of
I used to
women.
walk by your desk and you were playing R. Kelly? Oh my God.
I mean, I think we've figured a way.
We're from that era.
That's true.
Yeah.
We can't erase
That's true.
the amount of music and hits that he had.
That is true.
For that mid 90s to early 2000s. There's so many songs that he wrote that you don't even know about.
I don't know any of them, but I don't.
you
I
do.
don't know anything.
I think for us is New York. It's so music is like such a big.
Yes.
Important thing in New
Yes.
York. Like, I remember growing up and like the beef between Jay-Z and Nas. It was like, screw Queens. No, we're Brooklyn all the way.
Yeah.
And like people took it so much to heart. And I think now seeing the situation with Diddy, the situation with Kendrick Lamar and Drake, the situations with R. Kelly, I feel like our musical mythology is like being erased or just being put in a prison.
It's being challenged, and I mean, I remember because I'm an old man. I remember the first time I heard Run DMC, which was and LL Cool J, and I was just like,
Shout out to Queens.
"Whoa!"
Mm-hmm.
And I was the only white boy that listened to that stuff.
It was revolutionary at the time.
I was Eminem
we danced to
25
LL
years
Cool J.
before Eminem was.
We
you know,
danced to LL Cool J doing it in my high school play.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew what the song was, but they were very upset after we did it.
Like shell top Adidas, you know, that was crazy. And I mean, really to our core, all of these legal challenges, shifting back to it, what our attorneys are human to it, all of these legal issues are challenging the music that we listened to as a child.
Well, you know what it is, in addition to not just the movies, it requires such nuance, right? People's sexual proclivities, their desires, and those who either participate in were okay last night, but this morning feel like, why did I do that? What happened? I don't remember. I feel like I might have been abused. Then you have these attorneys, you see cases, stuff being filed. There's a play to make enough money to change your life, right? Yeah. We're not talking about a case where you may get $40,000 after damages.
No, this is a lot of extra zeros after.
These are a couple of commas,
right, for sure.
Right.
And that's one thing, you know, where that's why we've named this podcast "Attorneys Are Human" too, because it seems to me that based on that type of behavior, attorneys really do get a bad name, and there are attorneys that are just out for the almighty, and I can tell you that. Those kind of attorneys do give us a bad name, but also the behavior of some of these people do elicit that. And some people look at it that way. Somebody's got to hold these people accountable. And I think that the way that we idolize celebrities, it kind of calls into question.
It needs to change.
And celebrities feel like they have no accountability. They can do whatever they want. And because people are always kowtowing to them. So maybe it's an overall societal lesson that now finally there's a check on it and people are being held accountable. I'm going
to play devil's advocate as a woman.
I was just going to say,
I'm going to play devil's advocate as a woman. Why would you wait so many years to come forth with something that occurred to you? Or in Cassie's case, if I'm at the VMAs or at the Met Gala and I'm being abused, you better believe I am going to come to the next person next to me or whoever or run and just say, I need to get out of this situation.
I mean, you're not in their shoes, so oftentimes there's a defense mechanisms done and people like automatically they're
shut down.
I heard a rumor too.
You know what?
Oh, what's the rumor?
I heard a rumor that the reason why no one came forward is because Diddy made them sign NDAs, and so they were blackmailed. And so that's why none of them came forward.
Now, to that, I say this, right? The rumor mill is always spinning, right? So Selena goes to a puff party. She sees craziness.
We're not letting her go to a puff party. There's no way in hell we're letting her go to...
She goes to the party.
Just not gonna drink anything.
Sees some stuff, and she goes and tells her homegirls, right? Hey, girl, we went to the party. You're doing crazy stuff there. Oh, my God. It was... And then the girlfriend turn around and say to her, "Well, do you think you could, if you get invited to the next one, can I come with you to the next one?" Right? So people's idolatry of these celebrities allows them, well, not allows, it makes them put themselves in these situations because we've all heard the rumors. I'm just a kid from Queens. I was hearing about stuff at these parties that were happening in Manhattan. I'm in Queens, and we're hearing whispers of it, maybe fifth hand, 10th hand.
I mean, I heard it in Syracuse, and that's a long way to travel.
Yeah. So we've all heard these things. So again, you're going to a party, and they want you to sign a non-disclosure act before a non-disclosure agreement.
That's my cue to leave.
That is your cue to run.
Any other party I go to, I sign nothing. We walk in, we party, we dance, we drink, we pass out, whatever, we go home.
That's my cue to go.
Come with you guys, I have to sign a piece of paper. That should already...
Yeah, but you know what? And again, I'm only playing devil's advocate.
Correct. Yeah.
But
I know why they exist.
If I had to sign an NDA, and Janine, that's not going to stop me. If I'm assaulted and violated, I don't care about your NDA.
Because the NDA doesn't protect against
intentional torts.
Sue me, but I'm calling the police.
And then that's the way you get around it, right? If you were abused and you do have this NDA, if you're alleging real abuse,
that's a carve-out. That's an exception to the... So let's transition as we're winding down this episode. Our favorite party involving an NDA. The president-elect
Oh yeah.
and Stormy Daniels.
Oh God. You know, I went to his I went to the watch party.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I just because
In West Palm?
Yeah. Because it was down the,
Did you sign an NDA?
No, because I didn't go in, but
What do you mean you didn't go in?
it was at the Hilton.
Right.
At the convention center, right?
You didn't go in?
No, I was at the front, like getting footage and everybody.
Okay.
You know, the Blacks for Trump dude that always.
Oh my God.
He invited you?
I was sitting there talking to him. I talked to Tulsi Gabbard. I talked to a couple of them as they were going inside because again, it was down the street. So me and my uncle were like, let's just walk over here and see what this is.
They didn't let you in?
It was super. I wasn't trying to get in. You know, there were so many gay guys. I was surprised.
Interesting.
It's a lot.
Not that there's anything wrong
No,
with
it's
that.
not a problem. I just didn't expect to see it. Black men, too. That was also very surprising because when they tell you about the demographics of, you know, what supporters are, I was genuinely
Look at the numbers.
Surprised.
She got destroyed in every part of the country, and we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Nothing.
So the interesting thing, though, like let's just boil that down. And being an attorney, the fact that they got him for that, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to me.
You mean
Because he
on
used money that he
his
wasn't
convictions?
supposed
Yeah,
to.
the convictions. It
Against Donald.
It makes no sense. Like,
It didn't either.
it's just a situation where, like, I'm looking back, and again, more likely than not, my political persuasion is not in favor of that, just as an aside. But it's a situation where I'm thinking back to, like, Argentina or to Cuba, and you're basically your political opponents are convicting you, and that's what I tell my kids. My kids are like, "Daddy, what are you talking about?"
You know what? When you discuss it, because everyone has such strong opinions, either for or against, it becomes hard to have the discussion,
I mean,
right?
I'm
Because
thinking
we're into sports, right?
Right.
We have the teams we like, etc. But sometimes you're looking at a call a referee makes, and it's against your team. But sometimes you have to say, well, yeah, that guy was offsides.
Right.
Yes, that was a fumble. Yeah, that was an interception.
I try to look at it objectively.
Correct.
Right.
You have to be able to do that. But unfortunately, because everyone's so emotional about it, they cannot look at it. It's if you say one thing that's positive, then that means you're a super duper supporter.
Right.
If you say one thing negative, then that means you're just a blind hater.
Correct.
Right.
You should be able to say.
I get so much crap because I try to be objective.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Steve has on the Syracuse sweatshirt, right? And,
Yeah.
oh, you're a fan of Syracuse. Oh, you must hate. No,
He is a fan.
I'm
a fan.
Of course. But
And I probably were a member of Law Review. Thank you very much. I keep 25 to 30 years now, and I can still say that to everybody.
nice. But just acknowledging that he has the sweater on doesn't mean I'm support Syracuse or I'm against them. I'm just acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And so many times with the politics now, it's so much. It's even worse than team sports.
Yeah, you can't even do that.
You can't.
even
So, like,
acknowledge it.
we're
People get
polarizing.
offended.
We're fans of the Knicks. We can sit there and say, "Yo, the Knicks suck." How you let Trae Young just roll the dice on
Right.
the garden floor like
Yeah.
that, right?
I only went to one Knicks game and I ate a lot of popcorn.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
So as we wrap up, we're gonna do the lightning round, and Selena and I are gonna ask rapid fire questions to Cy Lawson and to Judge Janine, and then we're gonna take us home. Okay, first one. I'm gonna direct this to Cy Lawson. Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron.
Okay.
Ugh. I
Selena,
I'm
we've
offended.
talked
know.
about this a
Okay.
lot.
Drake or Kendrick
Oh,
Lamar?
come on, K-Dot all day.
Okay.
Who's K. Dot?
Kendrick
Oh,
Lamar.
okay. That's what I know. Okay, Janine, ready?
I'm ready.
Pizza or hamburger?
Neither.
Okay.
Were you a vegan?
No,
She just doesn't like either.
they're okay. But if I had to, pizza
You have to
for
choose
sure.
one.
No, I have,
Pizza.
Okay.
I have a
Pizza.
better one for you. Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift.
I'm a Swiftie too. I like Beyonce too, though.
I'm going with Taylor Swift because Hannah loves her.
Interesting.
But Steven would rather date Beyonce.
Okay.
Beyonce shows are far more.
Cy Lawson, here's your next question. Red or blue?
Blue.
Okay. Selena?
Blue.
I'm blue. Judge Janine?
Red all day.
Red all day. Okay. So the next question I have for you, Cy Lawson, is country or Western?
There's a difference?
Exactly.
Apparently there is.
Apparently.
Between country music and Western music?
Just country. I didn't say music. I said country or Western.
I like some country music.
Oh, well, country or Western? Western.
Judge Janine, country or Western?
Western.
Selena?
I like country.
I'm all about the country,
See,
considering.
I'm thinking like ham hocks, chitlins,
That's
all
what
that
I'm-
kind of
that's what
stuff. I
that's
don't
what
I'm
want to
thinking
eat.
food and I'm
Yeah.
thinking music.
I was thinking the food, and I'm like, yeah, but their food is so bad.
I feel like Western, you might be eating like a rabbit.
Or
somewhere.
like
But
a
that's better than
cactus.
chitlins.
Or cactus. Well, we learned a lot today. Cy Lawson.
Pig's feet.
Thank you very much. Before we go, Judge Janine, we need a ruling.
Go for it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Attorneys Are Human Too. We thank you so much, Cy Lawson, our celebrity prognosticator.
Yeah.
For
What about my ruling?
and
Your ruling
go,
is,
go,
did Diddy do it?
No, go for it is your ruling. I just said that was your ruling.
No.
Oh, go for it was not your ruling?
No,
Okay.
no.
What
Did
is your
Diddy
ruling?
do it?
Did Diddy do it?
He belongs where he's at. And I think he deserves far worse and has everything coming to him. And I just feel terrible for everyone involved, of his victims and people he's blackmailed. And I think he's the scum of the earth.
Diddy did it.
I
That's
guess
her
that's
ruling.
that's the ruling. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Please listen to us on anywhere you get your podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, I'm
Like,
Steve Wallace.
subscribe, tune in.
Thank you for listening to Attorneys Are Human Too. Remember, give us a 5-star review and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you get your digital content.